Psychological and emotional toll. This is a really interesting thing. I have a friend, his name's Ed Mylett, and you might know Ed. He's got a very popular podcast called The Ed Mylett Show. In fact, it's the #1 rated podcast on the planet for personal development. He coaches athletes and movie stars and presidents and prime ministers. He's a close friend of mine. And I remember sitting down with him at his house in Coeur d'Alene, and we were talking about investing and money and stuff. And he asked me how I got involved with my apartment complexes. And I told him that I'd known Grant Cardone and I was hanging out with Grant, and I just didn't like the way Grant did his business. And so I went and found someone else, and I sold my house in Tahoe. I made a little over $1 million off that house, and I took all of it minus $1,000 and I put it all in an apartment complex. And Ed about lost it. He says, I could never do that. It would cause me so much anxiety that I'd have a heart attack. Ed is worth $400 million or so, and he's probably got $120, $150 million in just real estate that he paid cash for. He doesn't use debt. And him and I have had conversations on this. Like, if you use debt, Ed, you would be worth billions of dollars right now instead of 400 million. And he said, if I use debt, I wouldn't be worth $400 million because I can't emotionally handle it. Psychologically, I wouldn't be able to sleep. I wouldn't be able to perform. I wouldn't be able to help my clients. So it doesn't work for me. And I respect that. And I used to be the guy that was more like Robert Kiyosaki. Maximize your debt. Get as much money as you can from the banks, borrow all the money from investors for your down payments. And then over the last couple of years, I've started to slowly change where the debt had a little bit more emotional impact on me, a little psychological, where I started worrying a little bit about my debt. And I have millions of dollars in debt. And I got a handle on it. It helped with the motorhome, because that was part of the debt, and that's gone. Now I'm selling my airplane. My Ferrari's almost paid off. My $350,000 SBA loan is almost paid off. And I got debt on my house. And I don't think I'll pay that off early because it's 3% fixed rate. But you need to figure out what works for you. And if you're one of those people that debt is going to psychologically impede your emotional state, then don't do it. But if you can handle a little bit of debt and you can save up enough money to buy a rental property, Airbnb it, or just do a regular rental, and you can handle the pressure of having to make that payment, then use it. It's okay, but do whatever works best for you. I don't like those blanket statements like, Dave Ramsey's probably the worst at this. All debt's bad. I think he says there's no such thing as good debt. Well, I disagree. There is good debt. And I think that if you can emotionally handle the pressure of having the payments, it's great. And so I like using automatic payments. I like bill pay. So I don't write checks. I don't have to go through my bills, open it up, and then write a check. Even when money was tight for me, I still didn't do that. I set everything up on automatic payments, and I recommend that you do that as well, at least for the minimum payments on your debt. That way it relieves the pressure and stress. Then you don't have to worry about it so much. So there is a psychological toll to debt for some people. I believe that debt, financial problems, are the #1 cause of death in America, the #1 cause of marriage failure in America as well. And here's why. If you have money problems, which is caused from debt or poor management of your money, then you have credit problems, you're stressed at home. And when you're stressed, you tend to fight with your spouse more. I don't know about you, but today, I realized today I had 2 cups of coffee, an energy drink, and a big Starbucks coffee. And it wasn't until I got that big Starbucks coffee that I found myself getting really irritable. I'm not in a bad mood. Nobody did anything wrong, but little things started bothering me. And I was like, it's the coffee. It's the caffeine. I had too much caffeine. I'm on edge. And I think that's the same thing that happens when you have the debt that's uncontrollable, that you haven't managed yet, is it puts you on edge. And if you're on edge and your spouse is on edge, you're now rubbing against each other and you're fighting, you're picking at them. And eventually you start picking and it starts separating you. Next thing you know, you're divorced, which causes more financial problems. Because now there's 2 households. The government loves divorce, absolutely loves it when people get divorced. Real estate people love divorce. Banks love divorce. They absolutely love it. Why? Because now there's 2 households. The city, the county, the state, they love divorce. Because now instead of husband and wife living in one home, paying property tax on one home, husband and wife are now living in 2 homes, divorced, They're paying property tax on 2 homes. See how that works? And because they got divorced, what used to be a stay-at-home parent is now working. So the government absolutely loves splitting up families. Part of the reason they teach our kids the way they teach is they want broken homes. So I think if we can get our money right, our credit right, our taxes right, it could literally save marriages and then save homes and eventually save lives, because stress causes inflammation. What causes stress? Financial problems. You get stressed, you have inflammation. What's inflammation do? Causes heart problems, causes aneurysms, causes strokes. Then people binge eat. They become diabetic. They're overweight. Now, once they get overweight and stress creates more cortisol, which makes you gain even more weight. And it just starts spiraling out of control, all because of debt and not managing your debt the right way. All of us have cancer inside of our bodies right now. The difference is most of us, our bodies are killing the cancer and removing it every day. But when you're under stress and you have inflammation, you're not eating right due to maybe the stress or the financial problems, it starts compounding again and it just spirals. So I believe this is one of the tolls of not controlling your debt is early death and stress and aging.